Common Core State Standards, Math, 7th grade, Number Systems 1, Expressions and Equations 3, Numbers and Quantities 2, 3, and we're adding and subtracting mixed numbers. And they are rational numbers because mixed numbers are whole numbers and fractions. And all whole numbers and all fractions are rational numbers, both positive and negative. And so we have a mixed number, 7 and 4/9. And we're going to add 10 and 2/9. So just for an estimation, we can estimate 7 and 4/9 at 7 and 10 and 2/9 at 10. So our estimation will be about 17. And we'll see if that's about right, and we're probably spot on. To add, well, you don't need the negatives because there's no negatives. So we look at the denominators, and they're both 9. So that's really nice. And we're just going to bring it down. So it's going to be 10 and 2/9, and we're adding. And so looking at just the fractions, they're both common denominators of 9. So look at the numerators, and you get 6/9. And the whole numbers is 17. And really, that's really close to 17 as our estimation. But we have 6/9 as a fraction, so we must simplify that. And we can get a factor of 3 out of both. And so we would get left with 2/3, and our answer would be 17 and 2/3. And when you have the numerator is 1 less than the denominator, as in 2/3, your GCF is 1, so that is simplified. So our next problem is a little bit trickier, of course. You're getting smarter. And it is 8 and 5/6 minus 2 and 1/3. And our estimation would be 8 and 5/6 is almost 9, and we're going to subtract about 2, so our estimation is going to be about 7. So let's look at that and see if we're close. So first of all, we have negative rules in here because you have a negative, and we don't have common denominators. But let's make them common denominators. So I can multiply this times 2, multiply the numerator times 2, and move it down, and I get negative 2 and 2/6. And now we can subtract them because we have common denominators. And when I subtract them, I get 3/6. And the whole numbers, I would get 6. Well, the problem with 3/6 is not simplified, and that's an automatic 1/2 because 6 and 1/2. And sure enough, it is very close to the 7. So that's a good estimate. And let's try to squeeze in number 3 here. Example. So we have 2 and 1/3 minus 1 and 2/3. So if we're estimating, I'm going to say 2 minus 2 and 1/3 minus 2 and 2/3. It's going to be approximately 1/2. So let's see if that estimate is pretty close. So we are subtracting, so we do need our negative rules, but we do have common denominators, which is really nice. All right, so let's march this on down here, and I have negative 1 and 2/3. All right, and we're going to subtract that. So the problem is when I take 2/3 away from 1/3, I can't. So I'm going to have to borrow. So if I borrow from here, I'm going to add 3/3 because that's a whole, and that would give me, I'm going to rewrite it, 1 and 4/3, subtract 1 and 2/3. Okay, so we had to borrow, just like when you're borrowing from whole numbers. So when we subtract that, we get 4 minus 2 is 2/3, and 1 minus 1 is, it is 0. And so 2/3 is simplified, and sure enough, that is really quite close to our estimate. So thank you.